you explain what the word dope means?
Dope.
Dope.
Dope. Dope.
Dope.
Dope.
Dope.
Dope.
Dope.
Dope.
It's just dope.
Well, it's a nice day outside and the time is right, the sun is high, so I thought it'd be a good time to come out and do a nice little video. Spent some time this morning on my Facebook page. I had posted a meme to Elevated Education LLC, the Facebook page. Check us out, like us, follow us, and all of that. But I posted this meme about this guy who was sleeping peacefully, and it was something like me after I've overdosed on edibles, or I don't know if it said edibles or if it said cannabis or weed or whatever, but it was basically about how you can eat too much edibles and you can get too high. And so I shared it to Elevated Education, but then I shared it to my personal Facebook page, and I just wanted to ask people and have them comment about some of those horrible edible experiences they've had, because everybody's had one, right? And so, especially as I'm developing new courses and classes and workshops and stuff, I want to know what kind of stuff people are dealing with, what kind of stuff they're, what are their experiences and what do they need to learn about. And since everybody has a horrible edible story, a time when they got too stuck, we had quite a bit of laughter and conversation of people just sharing their experiences. And so one of the things that really stuck out to me was that we have a tendency to try to go for the more is more perspective, right? And really when it comes to edibles and when it comes to THC and cannabinoids and all the other cannabinoids and terpenes, it really is a less is more kind of a thing. It's like your body is kind of like this cup. It's my favorite mug, one of my favorite books, Oh, the Places You'll Go. It's like this cup, right? So you're only gonna get so much in, and there is a maximum capacity, right? I can keep pouring and pouring and pouring into this cup, but the cup only holds so much. So your endocannabinoid system is kind of like that, right? And once you reach kind of your high or your peak, you're just gonna be stuck, right? There's definitely a point of no return or a diminishing return as far as the kind of fun you're gonna have and whether or not you'll actually have an enjoyable experience from the edibles. I hope y'all can't hear this. Somebody over there cutting their grass. Lord have mercy. Well, hopefully y'all don't hear that part. And if you do, I'm sorry. But anyway, so one of the things that people need to realize when they're making edibles and when they're eating edibles, certainly as someone who is, cooking them, and when you're working with infused foods, there is a such thing as dosage. There is a such thing as portion size or serving size. This nigga, hold on. Well, I hope they not done cutting the grass now, but at least they done moved away from my yard. So anyway, I was talking about serving size and portion control. There is a reason why edibles that you buy at the dispensary are in 10 milligram increments as it relates to THC. If you have too much THC in your system, you're going to experience a lot of those really unpleasant effects. One of the biggest symptoms or signs or side effects, I guess, of THC overdose is paranoia and heart palpitations and trouble breathing and, just a whole bunch of shit that you just don't want to be having to go through when you're indulging in weed, when you're smoking weed, when you're eating an edible. Like, nobody is eating an edible so they can get so messed up that they can't do anything. Like, it's been sometimes when And especially the way the edibles work, like they kind of sneak up on you. So there's definitely been some times where I found myself just kind of wandering around Target, for some hours, not even realizing how long I've been there, and I'm just enjoying looking at all the beautiful towels and all the things. Target is so bright and sunny and beautiful, and you just kind of lose track of time. Well, that's not necessarily, that's even during like a pleasant kind of high. But if you are, stuck to the point of impairment, to the point where you can't get up, to the point of you can't move, you can't talk, you crying, you hiding in a closet, I heard so many stories today. You kind of need to baby step it, right? You need to really, take your time and do it. Baby, we can do it. Take your time, do it right. You can do it, baby. Okay, you can do it, baby. Do it tonight. But take your time and do it right? Walk softly, go slow, start low and go slow. Like, that's a real thing. Trust me, it's gonna last for a long time. So, but like I was saying about like portion control and portion size, a lot of times, if you're making edibles, you think, man, I want as much THC in this as possible, and I want as much THC in each portion as possible. But you also got to think about the psychology behind how people eat, right? And so when we eating, like I used to make these infused Cheez-It crackers. Well, I have to realize when you're eating Cheez-Its, you're not really just going to eat 1 or 2 or 3 little Cheez-It crackers, right? You're going to want to be able to have at least a nice little baggy size full, or a bowl full, or a nice handful. Nobody is just eating 1 or 2 little pieces. Same thing as it goes with cookies or with brownies, right? You want to make them small enough that people can eat multiples of them, and you want to make the dosage low enough, right? And I'm talking like maybe 5 milligrams, right? 5 to 7 milligrams, maybe even 3, depending on how small they are. But you really got to take that kind of stuff into account, especially if you're giving them to other people, if you're putting them out for a party, if you're sharing them with your friends, if you are making them even just for yourself. You really want to be aware of the fact that this is something that is going to accumulate in your system. It's something that you're not going to feel right away. And once that train is out, once that train done left the station, there's no getting it back. You can, well, I take that back. You can mitigate a lot of the effects. Pro tip, you can really mitigate a lot of the effects of THC, the psychoactive effects of THC, with CBD. So it's a good idea to get some good CBD, or even some of the, probably even the stuff that you get at, I wouldn't say the stuff you get at the gas station, but, maybe even some hemp-based stuff, but definitely cannabis-based CBD, cannabis-derived CBD, is going to help to calm a lot of the psychoactive effects, a lot of the unpleasant effects of a THC overdose. But for the most part, once it's gone, it's gone. It's once it's there, it's there until, it's got to run its natural course. And so we are talking about several hours. And granted, you won't be at that, oh my God, I'm so high, I feel like I'm going to die. You won't be at that, you won't be at that peak stage the whole time, right? But even that is going to last for a minute. And you don't want that to last any more than it has to if you are not comfortable, and if you're not enjoying the experience, or God, if the people around you ain't enjoying the experience, because ain't nothing worse than being with somebody that is just way too high or way too drunk, and you ain't high or drunk enough. That is the most annoying shit ever. So anyway, just wanted to give that little tip. Be mindful of your serving sizes and dosage, right? Dosage makes a difference. So I know we don't like to think about weed as medicine, but it is, it has active ingredients in it that are measured in milligrams, just like ibuprofen, acetaminophen, or, for those of you who don't speak that language, just like Advil or Tylenol or whatever, right? And unlike those things, you can't you don't want to take 500 milligrams of THC, right? You could take for I know some women, some people, if you have cramps or really bad migraines or whatever, you might take a high dosage of of ibuprofen, right? A high dosage of Motrin, 500, 800 milligrams. But, when it comes to other pills or other medications, a lot of that shit, if you're talking about like a Xanax or something, right? That is, maybe given in like 5 milligram dosages or, 2.5 or 10 milligrams, right? They're very small dosages. You got to think about it like that, right? Weed, cannabis, THC, cannabinoids, all the things, they work the same way as any other medical or medicinal thing. And so dosage matters, milligrams matters, less is more, more is not more. More can actually end up being more drama, right? More can end up being less enjoyable. And I don't know how many times you got to tell people. I guess people just got to be hard-headed or learn on their own. Or what I see all the time is people think because they smoke a lot and because they used to smoking a lot, I take 5 blunts to the head, I do this, we smoke, I smoke from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, ain't no little brownie gonna do nothing to me. And listen, I done took down thugs with a cookie, not on purpose. I wasn't trying to take them down. They took themselves down because they didn't want to listen. They don't want to be hard-headed. They know more, okay, fine, do what you do, but don't say nothing to me when you sitting in the living room playing your little video game and they shooting at you and you ducking and dodging like they really shooting at you in your house because you ate 3, 4, 5 cookies when I told you to eat 1 and wait a goddamn minute. Give it some time, right? And then the other thing too, I'm speaking in generalities here, but I know a lot of people who will eat, and I do this too because I enjoy smoking weed, right? So a lot of people will eat the edible, and then because you don't feel nothing right away, because it takes you a minute for it to kick in, you're looking at 30 to 45 minutes or so, then they'll go ahead and roll up and smoke, right? That's cool if you know what you're doing, but then what happens is once the edible hits, it's hit, and it's gonna keep on going. So, some people will say they don't feel nothing from edibles. I think there is absolutely, I know there's absolutely some truth to the fact that people metabolize cannabis differently. And so when we're talking about how you feel something when you smoke, I guess there's people that say when they smoke it don't do nothing but make them go to sleep, but people metabolize cannabis differently. So there are some people who just don't feel edibles and they're not going to feel edibles, or it has to be a really high dose in order for them to feel it. And I think a lot of times people are afraid to eat enough to feel it, right? To consume enough to actually feel it. So they really tiptoe around it and they're like, I didn't really feel anything. But there are some people who can't feel it, and that just is what it is. But then also I think, and this happens to me all the time, right? I'll eat an edible and then, it'll be like later on and I'll be like, damn, oh wow, wait, am I high? Like I forget that I ate it. And then I'll look up and I'm just, I just got that feeling and I'm like, oh, right, I sure did eat that cookie. Okay, hell no, I'm high. So, because I literally just kind of ate it and went on about my day. And then, then it hits you and then you're there and you coast it. But I know my body. I've definitely had my own experiences to teach me over the years. I spent a lot of time just kind of honing the craft of making the edibles, and I went to Amsterdam and I learned some stuff there. And I learned some stuff just out in California, out in Oakland, period, that I was glad to be able to bring back and use in my own cooking and baking and how you do stuff. I also want to say, don't shit on CBD. So, you know, it's not a bad idea for you to, again, get some CBD tincture. I would say get it from the dispensary. That's just, you know, I know what y'all say. I know it costs a lot and all that, but it's not a bad idea to get some CBD tincture. It's also not a bad idea to infuse or combine, rather, some CBD infused oil with THC infused oil or whatever it is that you're using to do your cooking and baking, and to really combine, you know, ratios of that. So it could be 2 parts THC to 1 part CBD, or 4 parts THC to 1 part CBD. Requires a little bit of math, but it's just a good way to really just make sure that you don't end up on the wrong side of fun, and that you don't get a little too high-ish, right? Where you're not high-ish, you high as hell. So that's all I wanted to do, was get on and talk, you know, get on camera and do a little video just to talk about that. I gotta go and get ready for my Elevated Education LLC Green Cuisine Infused Cooking Basics class tonight, and so this will definitely add some good conversation to that discussion. If you want to know more about that class, visit www.elevatededucationllc.com/ just go to .com, click on classes, and then you can see the information right there. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.